Genki just dumps the information into your brain, assuming you should know the stuff. That's true. This is what someone said early on, why he liked my method, the from zero method. It's that Genki in college gives you this much information and this much explanation. Japanese from zero gives you this much explanation for this much information. For example, even in book 4, every single verb that's introduced has a section with usage. Book 5 does the same thing. We don't just dump a verb on you and say, use it, figure it out. You should know how it works. You can tell because it's an action that you're going to use the O particle to mark the objects. No, that's not immediately obvious, even with new verbs. Sometimes you need to know, what is it? Eventually you get an understanding, but it's nice to see it in representation. As someone who took a few classes out of the Genki textbooks, when reviewing JFZ Book 1, I find stuff that wasn't taught in formal classes. Let me explain to you how I wrote Japanese from zero, because, by the way, I'm not, like I said, not the Messiah, right? I had no plan. I started teaching Japanese classes in my dad's little conference room to one person. At first, I just had some flashcards that I found. I taught her colors and soap and bed and stuff like that. I kept looking for good books. I tried Japanese for busy people. I don't even remember the ones that I tried anymore. I know that, I don't think Genki was one of them. It might have been, but I don't remember. I had a bunch of these books and I was trying to use them, but I didn't like them. I thought either they're too fast or they make no sense. So I started writing lessons just to keep up with teaching them. So very organically, I started out with these really simple concepts like des and janai des, and I added to it. And I added and I added. And so that's why I believe when I look back at the order of Japanese from zero book 1, think about it. We don't get to real verbs until the last lesson of the book. That's crazy. You start with verbs in every other book. We don't. Because we laid out a foundation of question words and answer, dates, times, adjectives. It's very simple, but no book lays down the foundation that heavy until they get to verbs. And we only teach 4 official verbs in book 1. That's iku, to go, kuru, to come, wakaru, to understand, and kaeru, to return. And the reason why iku, kuru, and kaeru are there is because they can all use times. And they can all use locations, which means you can learn the location marker and you can learn the time marker. And that's why nothing that uses the object marker, except for kudasai, which is a verb, but we're not really using it like that. It's a little bit disingenuous to say there's only 4 verbs in book 1, because you have ski and kirai, which is to like and to dislike, but in Japanese are adjectives, so I don't count that. We have kudasai, please give, all right, and onegai shimasu. So there are other verbs, but there's not more than 10 official English verbs in the book, because it's not necessary in the beginning. Because if you can't do those basic things, you don't deserve verbs yet. You're going to screw other things up. But then when we get to book 2, first chapter has 4 new verbs. Right? So you double your official verbs in chapter 1 of book 2. And when you get to book 4 and 5, it's just verb city. But that wasn't a master plan. It just didn't make sense to teach them something way above their grade when they just started learning. And think about it. The kids in my class were sometimes a 45-year-old lady, a 19-year-old girl, a 21-year-old man, a very big variety of people. And sometimes we would go teach private classes to rich people in their house, and they are too busy to do complicated things, so I had to keep it simple, right? And I had to build on what I was doing, so everything's built. There would be times where, and the one example I'd like to give is, I used to teach kore, sore, are, dore, all together, but I used to teach it with koko, soko, asoko, and doko all together. It made sense to me, because they're koso, ado pattern, right? You could teach here, there, over there, where, right? And this one, and which one. Very easy. No, people could not separate them. And that's when I realized you can't teach certain things together. They have to be separated. And as I taught in the classes, we taught for years, and I kept revising all the time. Students used to have lessons with dates on the bottom. They were printouts for that day. And I would say, what version do you have? Oh, I have 1998, December 10th. Oh, well, you need to get 1998, December 17th, because I revised it last night. And I would give them that new version. So I didn't even plan on writing a book. I really was just writing lessons. And eventually, we were giving them this big binder of lessons. And they had a big binder because they had all these different versions. People were making tabs. It was crazy. I said, you know what? We should probably just put it into a book. So me and Yukari, my wife, would make them on the copy machine, punch holes with the Ibco machine. I don't know if you know what that is, like 28 like squarish holes. And then we took these plastic coil and we bound them. And that was the first edition of the book. And then I just didn't want to make it anymore. Like, it was so much work to print, to prep for a class. And at that time I had hired Justin, who now owns part of the company, the From Zero company. He's a partner now. But he started out as a student. He was in all of the classes. And then I hired him to help me do sales and stuff like that. He helped me initially find a printer. So first it was a printer that was local. And they were beautiful. They were beautiful. Like they look like they do now. Except they weren't this nice cover that we have now. But they fell apart. They would fall apart. And that's when we found another printer called CreateSpace. And CreateSpace randomly got me on Amazon. I wasn't ready to be on Amazon. I never thought about it. But then books started selling. So much for the Messiah. Didn't even know what he was doing. Accidentally started making money on books that he wasn't planning on even writing. Had no plan. Of course, I planned on writing book 4. I planned on writing book 5. The Korean books were all planned. But there was no plan for books 1, 2, and 3. It was just I was desperately making sure I had a lesson for the next day.